Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name's Dan Pan, founder for Haddee Education. I'm also in Berkeley, and we're hosting our annual event, Why Berkeley, Why Not Berkeley? Since many of you are admitted students to Cal, and quite a few of you have multiple offers. So I think it's a critical decision for you to decide whether you'll be part of the Cal family or you'll go somewhere else. So now what we're going to have each speaker introduce themselves, and then I'll have a couple minutes about our program. Okay, so we'll start lady first, Xinyi.
Hi everyone, I'm Xingyi. I am a first year PhD student at Rockefeller University. Yeah, probably not a lot of people have heard of this school, but it's like a graduate school specialized in biology and it's located in New York. Um, sorry, I already forgot what I'm supposed to say to
Uh,
introduce myself.
One word to describe your Berkeley life
Oh,
experience.
right. Um, Maybe just like fulfilled, because I think it's a pretty good college experience for me. And I think I have accomplished everything I wanted to do before going to college. So it was, yeah.
Very good. Very good. Xinyi, and you were international student, right? When you were enrolled in Berkeley?
Yeah,
Inter
I'm an international student when I was at Berkeley, also when I applied to graduate school.
Okay, very good. Okay, we'll ask you some experience about international students. Okay, very good. Thank you. Andrea.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea. I'm currently a fourth year here at Berkeley. I'm studying electrical engineering and computer science. One word to describe my Berkeley experience would probably be fun. I think I had a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of new people here, which I think was really cool from a lot of different places. So like expand your network and the people that you know.
Very good. Thank you for helping us, Andrea. We're looking for a female student from EECS. Thank you. And Charles?
Uh, okay. Hello, my name is Charles. I transferred to Berkeley from a community college. I was a math major. I graduated in 2025. And then I took a gap year and I'll be a graduate student in the fall. Um, I guess one word to describe my experience, I think that's kind of hard, but I would maybe say something like enriching. Um, I think I'm from Irvine, so it was very different for me to be here. And I think I met a lot of people that I would never have met if I had stayed home. And obviously, I learned a lot. So,
Thank you. Congratulations, Charles. And so you will be a PhD student at Cal, right? You will be
yeah,
continuing. Okay.
yeah, I have not formally committed, but that's the plan. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
And Justin?
Hi, I'm a fourth year at Cal. I study electrical engineering, computer science, and business. Um, and I would say my Cal experience has been chaotic. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of different types of people that you'll meet.
That's great. Okay. Interesting. And Liam?
Hi, I'm Liam. I studied computer science and math. I just graduated last semester, and one word I would use to describe my Berkeley experience is evolving. There's just I've like changed plans quite a few times while I was here.
Okay, interesting. Very good. It's flexible. Okay, very good. Okay, sounds good. So I will just really very quickly show a little bit about our company. Very quick. Yeah. So you can Google why we're here. I'm founder for Haddee Education. You can Google us, and I have a LinkedIn. You can LinkedIn me as well. Very well connected here. My background. And our main thing is we help with college counseling for high school, and we also help with graduate school applications. So that's about it. And I one more thing that's really related to Berkeley. If you guys are interested, we are hosting with UC Berkeley. Uh, it's slow, so that's fine. A summer doesn't matter right now. So it's something Murphy's Law. So won't worry about it. Yeah, I'll show you later. So we are hosting a summer program at UC Berkeley for high school students and college students for AI residential program for 2 weeks. And we are also hosting a boot camp at our office. We have an office in Berkeley for mainly college students that will collaborate and develop some robotic system. And the students we can apply for patent and also develop research papers. So will be very beneficial for the students who want to pursue industry job and also want to pursue advanced studies. Okay, that's about it. Okay, so let's move to why Berkeley, why not Berkeley? The first question will be for Andrea. Okay, yeah, so you're here on the campus. Do you feel safe?
Yeah, I actually do feel pretty safe. I know it's a little scary. You hear a lot of like stories coming out of Berkeley or like you read the news reports. But I think that's true of anywhere. I would say like be responsible, so like don't walk around the streets at 4 a.m. Alone. But in general, I have felt pretty safe. There are services at night if you do need to get around to different places, where someone will come and pick you up, which is really nice. Yeah, and in general, I haven't had any issues.
Okay, that's great. Do you live in the south or the north part
I
of
live in
campus?
the south side of Berkeley, so south of our school.
Okay, that's great. And Xinyi, you're in New York City right now. So is are they both safe or they're both not safe?
Good question. When I was at Berkeley, I honestly felt it was okay, but maybe because I was living on the north side of the campus, which is known to be more safe than the south side. I don't know what it is right now. It was like that when I was in college. And I had experiences of like walking to home at like, I don't know, 12, past 12 at night, but I didn't encounter anything. So it might be okay. There was one experience that when I was walking on South Side at night and I was chased by this unhoused person and for like a 1 block. And then I eventually I ran faster than him and then he was yelling like, "Oh, you got away." I was like, "Yeah, I did."
Oh,
But that was the only experience. But yeah, he doesn't seem to have any weapons anyway. But so in general, it's okay. And I haven't encountered that in New York yet. But
okay, okay. Huggies to you. Wow, it's a little bit scary. Okay, that's good.
yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
very,
But one experience in 4 years, I guess, is not that not that bad maybe.
I see. Yeah. So for Liam and Justin and Charles, did you guys encounter anything that's dramatic here?
I think personally, I've really never had a problem. I've walked around, I've been living in Berkeley for 4 years, and I've walked around very late at night on South Side, and I've never personally had problems. Um, I would say that like crime in Berkeley is generally overblown. Things do happen, as you've just heard.
Mhm.
Um, but again, that's like more or less as bad as it's gonna get. I have not really had any friends who've like really had experiences with violence here. The bulk of Berkeley being scary is the fact that there are homeless people around campus. But the thing with the homeless people is that, 95% of them aren't going to do anything to you. Every now and then one might yell at you, but in that case, you can sort of just cross the street and it's fine. But in general, I would say, like walking around Berkeley, just like I have no concern about safety at all, really. It's really not something that bothers me or makes me nervous. And I grew up around Irvine, so it's not like I've been conditioned to this my whole life. In fact, I think people who come where I'm from are the most anxious about it. So in that sense, I can say at least, for a man who doesn't look particularly vulnerable, I've had no problems basically.
Mm, I see. Yeah. How about Justin? Thank you, Charles. Mhm.
I think it there definitely is, I think maybe some problems that you wouldn't necessarily deal with at other schools that maybe have a more secluded campus or are in like a cleaner part of town. But this is coming from the perspective I'm like male, and I don't think I look particularly vulnerable either. So I probably wouldn't have received like the brunt of the experiences. What Xingyi said she experienced sounds actually pretty terrifying. Um, but I think from the past 4 years, I've just seen you just want to be smart about it. There's certain areas that are good, there's certain areas that are not, and as long as you're usually walking around with a friend, or if you're traveling late at night, you have like some sort of accommodations for that. Um, I think the problem is not too bad, but uh, I can also understand why other people would have problems with it too.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'll finish up. Let you guys know, People's Park is no longer People's Park, and the People's Park was notorious that there were many homeless people. So right next to the Unit 2, and right now there are two big residential buildings. They're almost done. Okay, so that may have changed. So when my older son, was accepted in 2019, basically I think there were more homeless in south side of Berkeley than now, due to the renovation or the change of People's Park. So that I will let all parents and students know. Okay, so second question I will ask is about changing major. So many of you are admitted into letter science. Some of you are admitted into a smaller college, but a lot of you want to go where Justin and Andrea are sitting, College of Engineering or Haas, right? And some want to change into letter science, study bio, or from other colleges. So I will maybe have Liam, you been changing major. So maybe asking you first, how difficult is change major or double major or minor, from your
Uh,
experience?
yeah, if you're in changing majors within the same college is usually pretty easy. You just need to fulfill the major requirements. For example, if you want to switch to math, you'll just have to take, the lower division calculus, linear algebra, differential equations class, which are what classes that most people will finish in their first year to switch to the math major. Um, so changing between colleges is a bit harder. If you're admitted into letters and science, uh, I think it would be hard to switch into College of Computing or Eng College of Engineering, for instance. They usually will allow a couple students to change every year. I don't know the number, but they have to have a pretty good reason and fill out an application as well as take the prerequisite classes to enroll in the major. Um, but generally, if you switch between the same college, it is easy.
Mm. Okay, I see. How about right now, letter science? Most students care about getting a minor or major in the CDSS, like data science.
I don't know. No,
Okay,
I don't
okay.
know.
Yeah, yeah. So for students coming in, we have been observing some data. I think we can find that. Uh, I have, I met a lot of students because we have students admitted into as Haddee, because we do college counseling, admitted into data science, and they are like minor in data science, or some also declare CS. So I don't think it's a huge challenge, but I haven't really met anybody. They said, okay, now I come in this college and I will double degree in engineering. It seems a little bit more challenge, just like Liam said. Okay, so that's the question. And then the next question is how hard to get the course you wanted. So maybe I'll start with Xinyi. Xinyi, you were at the letter science, right?
Yeah,
Which
I was,
yeah,
yeah, my major was molecular and cell biology, so that
okay.
was in letters of science.
Okay, okay. Did you I think when you were admitted, you were still in China, right? That time. Or you
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So when the course, so a lot of freshmen worried, like I remember it's opening up in July that you guys register for new course, right? How difficult you find to get the course you wanted?
I think for when you first go into college, you probably need to take all the lower division classes,
Hmm.
which I don't find it to be super difficult to do, but it's definitely not something like once like you will be assigned a time where you can start registering for a class. And it's not like you can, after this time, and you can register anytime. You should sit by your computer and ready to press when your time is come. But if you do that, yeah, I don't think there's too much difficulty, at least for me. I haven't encountered something that I want to register a class, but I cannot, or I didn't at the end. But I think some other people might have, more or less because they have like a later registration time that's assigned to them. But it's not like you will always be assigned a later time or earlier time. It's like more random. So you can definitely register that class you want next semester or something like that. But in general, it's not a big problem.
Okay, so you were happy you completed 4 year, no issue, right? Not like a huge issue. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Okay.
me, no issue. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's good to know. So that you more on coming from the life science background. Okay. So Charles, you are a transfer student. So it was very difficult for you to get the course you wanted for upper division.
Um, I would say no, although I am in a sort of more liminal major in math, which is sort of a big major, but is also not very big. So there are a lot of people that want to take the classes, but in general, the math department is good about making sure that there are enough sections. So I guess one thing maybe to mention, I'm not sure if people know about this, but enrollment at Berkeley has several phases. And so there's a phase one and a phase two, and then I think maybe a third phase that's general. But the idea is in phase one, you enroll in the classes that would be the most contested. And then in phase two, you enroll in the classes that are maybe less contested. And so if all of your classes are contested, maybe it's a problem. But the people I knew while I was an undergraduate only really ever had enrollment issues when they tried to enroll in a contested class in phase two. Like maybe they didn't realize they wanted to take it until, a month before the semester, and by then it was already full. Whereas if they had planned ahead far enough to where they enrolled in that in phase one, it wouldn't have been a problem. You might also run into problems if you're trying to add classes late, but I think that's probably going to be a universal problem at any university. By second or third week of class, they sort of start to solidify, and people do drop, but it's going to be not guaranteed in that situation. But I think if you plan ahead and you know what you want to take, by the time your enrollment date comes around, at least based on what I know and the people I've talked to, nobody has really had any serious problems. Like I don't know of anyone that's had to delay their graduation over such a thing. Although I have heard of that happening at like UCLA, for example. So.
Okay, I see. Thank you, Charles. How about Andrea? You're sitting in College of Engineering. It's like hot, hot college. Everybody want to attend College of Engineering and EECS. Okay, what's your experience, Andrea?
I think so far I haven't had any issues, or I guess I'm graduating, so I haven't had any big issues with choosing classes at Berkeley. I will say in freshmen get lower priority, so it was a bit more of a scramble in your earlier years because you'll pick classes after your upperclassmen. However, if you have things like scholarships, if you're a Regent Scholar or like a Seed Scholar, I think you get enrollment priority. I think student athletes might also get enrollment priority. So in that way, if you have any of those things, or are like in the process of applying, I'm not sure when it's decided, you will get enrollment priority. Me personally, I think the only classes I've had issues getting into were, as Charles said, in like phase two, when I was selecting sort of my breadth courses. And specifically for the College of Engineering, our ethics requirement classes are really popular most of the time. So I wasn't actually able to take that requirement until my, I think, junior year. Yeah. But in terms of like main classes that you're interested in, it's pretty easy to get into, unless you're outside of the major, because a lot of seats will be reserved for that specific major of the class you're taking. So if you're outside that major, you might get lower priority, in terms of enrolling in that course as well. However, if you really, really want it, you can enroll in it in phase one, and you're almost guaranteed to get it. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, that's good. And Liam, do you have anything to add? since you were taking you were doubling majored, double major CS and
Uh,
math.
no, I think these days a CS major, there's a cap um on the number of students. So when I was doing computer science classes, there was a struggle to get a lot of certain classes. So probably still maybe the case that machine learning will be probably a very hard class to get, as well as maybe probability and operating systems and algorithms as well. I would say that you should just put these on phase one if you want to take them the following semester. And if you're unable to get it, it is, quite likely you'll be able to enroll in a future semester when you have more priority.
Okay. When you say phase one is just take it as early as
Now, there's two phases to enrollment,
mm,
and phase one, I'm not typically sure when it is, but it's maybe a couple months before phase two. It's just the first, like, 13 units you can enroll in every semester is called phase
mm,
one. And then, sometime later you can add maybe four more units to have 17 units. And right before the semester starts, you can finally add four more, like, another 4 units to get like 20-ish. Phase one is just the classes that you should be enrolling that you really want to take.
mm.
Um, because those are the like first spots that are available in that class.
Okay, okay, that's good. Okay, and then Justin, I how about Haas? Hard for you? Or you are on a special elite MET major, so there's no challenge at all. You're muted, Justin. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Sorry, yeah, I was just moving some stuff back to the car.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, to be very frank, I personally haven't had too many struggles with enrollment.
Mhm,
I am in a program that like kind of gives me a priority enrollment time, which means I get to choose classes like relatively early. But I definitely do have friends who've like struggled um to get in the classes they want, and a lot of the priority has to do with the year in. So I'm not sure if someone's mentioned that, but seniors often get like the first pick of the classes they want to take, which makes sense because they're the closest to graduation and need to fulfill those requirements. I think, like Leah mentioned, in the College of Engineering, there's a few really, really popular classes like machine learning. In Haas, I think in general, you can just probably get into the classes that you need to take.
mhm,
There's not too much of like a competition there because there's really a set number of like Haas students, and people outside of Haas won't usually be taking business classes.
mhm. Okay, so okay, very good. Thank you. So that's a lot about classes, and then we'll change back to non-academic housing. Um, I know UC Berkeley only provides 1 year freshman housing. So you are all living, maybe I mean, we say off campus. Everything's really off campus, but everybody come to UC Berkeley knows Berkeley's college, like the teaching is kind of like a whole big campus, and then dorm is outside the campus. So a lot of apartments right next to dorm. So maybe I will ask Xinyi, what's your experience overall with housing? It's a headache. Like after freshman year, you have to find a place, and next year, did you change, or you keep have finding new places?
Yeah, I might not be the best to answer these questions because um first, my freshman years in I spent it entirely in China because sorry, I'm old,
Oh,
but it was
for
back
COVID.
COVID.
That's
So my
all.
entire time I was like, doing Zoom classes and stuff. So I didn't get to live in a dorm, but people around me who lived in a dorm said it's a good experience, even if it's during COVID. It's a good way to build like friendships, to get to know people when you first come to the college and stuff. Um, and when I came to the US, I find one apartment that was like on sale, not on sale, on sale, but for renting. And I just lived there for 4 years. Yeah, and it's on the north side of the campus. It was like a 15 minutes walk to the campus. So yeah, I just didn't change my housing at all, and I was happy with it. Yeah, that's my experience.
Okay, very good. Yeah, one thing that Berkeley has rent control. So if you rent from the same landlord and the next year, especially multifamily like a condo, the apartment, the landlord cannot increase your rent next year. Usually 2 or 3%. It's capped. It's a rent control. So that lets you
Oh,
guys.
oh,
Yeah,
that's why my rent hasn't increased. I didn't know that.
you
I
didn't
just
know that.
thought they
No,
were
no,
really
no.
kind or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
my
bad
rent
for
has been
landlord.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's it's good for the students, right? So New York, you also have rent control. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is my first time after college that I'm living in a dorm.
Okay.
I'm in a 2B by myself. Yeah, it was great, but that's something else. Yeah.
Okay, okay, I see. Okay, thank you, Shinyi. And maybe Charles, you want to talk about your housing situation?
Yeah, so I came in as a transfer, and so I was like already, I had just turned 20 years old, I think. So I wasn't really looking to live in a dorm with a bunch of 18-year-olds. So I was sort of immediately looking for off-campus housing. And my family is like, like we're middle class, we're not poor, but we also don't have a ton of money. So I wanted something cheaper. And after looking around a bit, I came across the co-ops. So this is the Berkeley Student Cooperative, which sort of acts like a sort of like federal housing unit. I say federal in like a loose sense, not actually having to do with the government, but they're an organization that controls and owns several houses, which they rent out to students, and which the students cooperate to keep rent lower. And what I mean by cooperate is that you do some chores every week. And so instead of hiring like cleaners and stuff, you as a member of the house actually work to maintain the house, and that keeps the rent lower. So if you're interested, you can search this organization up. The website is bsc.coop.coop. Um, and so that's where I've lived for the last 4 years. There are pros and cons to this. I'd say, in my opinion, the pros outweighed the cons. I think it was a fantastic experience. I met a lot of interesting people. I think in the dorms, there can be cases where your cohort is all very much the same, but in the co-ops, you get people from all over the place, like all kinds of different majors, all kinds of different ages. Some people are transfers, and overall, it's a really nice experience socially. I think if you are a transfer, I don't know if there are any transfers in here, but if you are a transfer, it's definitely something I would look into. I think it's maybe one of the better decisions that I made in terms of being at Berkeley. Otherwise, I in my small social circle, I've never had anyone really complain about the housing search in Berkeley. Some people pay more than me, but nobody that I've ever met has really been like deeply unhappy with the housing in Berkeley. Yeah, it's expensive, but it's not too crazy. I think most people pay something like, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 a month, which is, it's California, it's a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not horrible. And yeah, I guess the one tip would be to start looking early. And of course, don't get scammed. I think there are like two rules to making sure you don't get scammed, which is if it looks too good to be true, it's probably a scam. And two, never never pay anyone money for rent or a security deposit before you've actually seen the place. But other than that, I think it's a pretty fine experience.
Okay. Thank you, Charles. Okay, so let's move to food. Those are all the essentials. Andrea, first, like, did you eat in the dining room?
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to come after COVID, so I did get the full dorm experience and I did have a meal plan. So I ate at the dining halls basically every day of the week. I don't know if this is a hot take. This was in 2022, but I really liked the food. I thought that it was cool having a wide variety. They'll do like a different cuisine every day. It's not like authentic. It's like fake Indian cuisine, fake Mexican cuisine, but I thought it tasted pretty good. No complaints there. However, I will say if you have any sort of dietary restriction, it is pretty bad. I want to say if you're a vegetarian, there's very minimal options. There's like a salad bar, I think, and then like a separate vegetarian counter. So yeah, if you have dietary restrictions, it might not be the best. But for me personally, I really enjoyed the dining hall food. There's also no limit as to like what dining hall um you want to go to, so you can sort of like look at all the menus, and then if you don't like the one at your current dining hall, you can like walk a couple extra minutes to another dining hall and eat their food. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So, are you living on your own now? Are you cooking? Like, are you still eating the dining hall right now? Mm.
No, this was only during the first year. I think freshmen are required to buy a meal plan. But after that, no, I've been cooking on my own.
And you're able to get the grocery, like
Oh
cook.
yeah. So we have two Trader Joe's within busing distance, around 10-minute bus ride, which is pretty nice. If you have a bike, that might also be faster. We also have like a bunch of other supermarkets nearby, Safeway, Andronico's if you're north side. Yeah,
Okay. And
not that big of an issue. Hmm.
yeah, and you're EECS student, are you quite busy and do you have time to cook?
Oh, yeah, you'll make time if you want.
Okay.
You can also like eat out. There's a lot of pretty good restaurants in Berkeley, I would say.
Yeah, many. Yeah,
Yeah,
but eating out is expensive. Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
Okay. Very, very good. Okay. So we'll move to people care about um a couple of things. Maybe just I'm not sure you know, but maybe you know about like junior year, sophomore year applying to Haas, and you guys are still taking the junior, right? In addition to
Yes.
direct admit. Do you know how hard to get into Haas? We know we have a student last year talk about it, and he got in. So, but I want to know whether you have that experience. Know about this kind of experience getting into Haas.
Yeah. So, um, traditionally or in the past, um, you would get into Haas either through like a first year program like MET or GMP, or you would or you would apply as like either a sophomore or a rising sophomore or a rising junior and get in. I think back in like 2022 when that was still the main policy, I it seemed like maybe like a third to like half of the students who applied got in, maybe closer to a third. Now it's a bit different because you can now apply to something called the undergraduate speaker program, which is like direct admissions to Haas. So now like freshmen can come in and be like a business major at Haas without being in MET or GMP. And I think the continuing student like application is still available. But I'm not sure how it looks, although I assume there's a lot less spots available since there are just a bunch of first year business, a bunch of spots taken up by first years.
Very good. Yeah. So I think the bulk is direct admit. There's a number, and usually Haas direct admit is very limited number. I think the admit rate is about 3%. I did meet the Haas admission team in a big conference, and I think I calculated the number is about three, a little bit over 3%. And the continuous student can apply, and that number, I don't know what the exact number, but if you really want to come in, you did not come through the direct admit, students can apply. You have a good chance to get in, but it's not guaranteed. So it's like a little mini application. You have to write essays, right? Justin, do they have to interview? Do you know?
I don't know about interview actually. I just know there's like a bunch of essays you have to write.
Yeah, yeah, a
Yeah.
bunch of essays. Yeah. And the Haas culture is like um is listed on Haas website. And I remember one of them is confidence without attitude, which I can recite easily. Okay, very good. Thank you. And so next question is we'll control the time is about getting the internship, right? So we start from the internship because everybody want to come college and they want to go and make money. Okay. So I will start. I know a few of you have industrial, and then we'll talk about the PhD a little bit later. Justin, what's your experience of getting an internship?
I think that there's one of the like the biggest perks of Berkeley is the people and the
Mhm.
communities there. And I guess when you come in as like a transfer student or like an undergraduate first year, you meet a lot of older like juniors and seniors who
have a lot more experience in maybe the fields that you'd be interested in and can give you a lot of help in terms of knowing like how exactly you can break into these fields. I was really lucky. I met a bunch of like upperclassmen friends who gave me a lot more insight into what working in like certain industries were like, and also, you know, prepped me for interviews, gave me mock interviews, kind of helped me understand the process better. I did internships all 3 summers, my freshman, sophomore, and junior summer. I did a software engineering one my freshman year, and then I did do 2 like quantitative trading, like finance
哦，你的鞋到了。
internships my sophomore, junior year. And I think probably the biggest help from Berkeley is just having people who've been through the same process that are willing to help you.
That's very good, very good. So it's a networking come here. And Andrea, how about you?
Yeah, I think the internship search is pretty stressful, but I think that's true for everywhere. Specifically, I've done a software internship, my junior year. My sophomore and freshman summers, I spent teaching at the university actually, which is pretty nice. But in terms of finding the internships, yeah, I would definitely say talk to your upperclassmen. There's also some industry connections through upper division classes. I don't know if this is true of all majors, but I know for electrical engineering and computer science, there's a lot of upper division classes that you take that are sort of segues into different companies that are sponsoring that class. So I think like Apple sponsors some, and then the company I interned at hired a lot of students out of the upper division computer architecture course. Yeah.
Okay, okay, very good. Okay, and Liam, how about you?
Yeah, so I my experience might be a little bit outdated since I was recruiting for internships back in 2021, 2022, and mostly. But for me, I also met a lot of upperclassmen and other students who sort of knew the ropes better than I did. So I sort of just try to talk to as many people as I can about where I should apply, what I should be doing, how I should be practicing for the interviews. I also got help from some people to practice mock interviews, um, as well as give things for me to study. But the most important thing for you, especially in computer science, is get referrals from people and then apply to as many companies as you can. I would say those two will, increase the chances of you finding an internship. Also, try to apply to internships as fast or like as early as possible. So online, there's like websites of when the internship is released, and like you can find a list of these internships and try to apply as early as possible because when they get enough applications, they'll just close the application window for many companies, and you don't want to miss a lot of those.
Okay. So from 3 of you, what do you think? Like, they're just coming in, students like, oh, they want to take a break. For sure, they will take a break right now before they come to Cal. Should they take a break the first summer? Or should they dive into the internship next spring and looking for, or even in fall, looking for next summer? What's your advice for the incoming students?
I think that's a personal preference. I think if you're still unsure as to what you want to do, I'd recommend like freshman year is your time to just explore everything. I wouldn't like necessarily lock myself in, but if you are able to find an internship, I would say like if you have that opportunity, you should take it. But I think also no worries as a freshman if you can't find an internship. I think a lot of people are in the same boat. There's a lot of different opportunities that are available to you over the summer. It doesn't have to be working for a company. You could do research. You could teach at the university. You could teach outside of the university, things like that. But yeah, I think as a freshman, don't stress too much. But yeah, just do what you're interested in.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, thank you. And that's a really good approach. Um, Sometimes we tend to get very anxious. We just finished one thing and now we jump into the second one. It's a big phase. Okay, so very good. Thank you. So I will come back to teaching to some of you who taught, but maybe research. Xinyi, how about undergraduate research? Bio, like a research is a big thing. So first, you're an international student. Do you feel you're being like a little bit marginalized because you're international students? Are you getting the opportunities at Cal? And what kind of opportunities for research?
Right. So as an international student, I don't think it matters too much,
Okay.
especially if you're looking for a research opportunity on campus, which depends on what you want. Sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's unpaid. Usually it's unpaid. If you want to look for research opportunities outside, usually it's paid. And usually I think, from my opinion, or like from my experience and my friends' experiences, they still don't care whether you're international or not. The HR cares, but HR are not the ones that actually hires you. So for me personally, or for biology in general, I think there's like a lot of labs on campus because Berkeley is a research university. However, there's also a lot of students. Um, so I don't know if it's good enough to one-on-one match you to a lab, but just from just like my circles, like everybody have found their labs before they graduate and stuff. I personally joined the lab through by applying to this program called University Research Apprentice Program, I believe. URAP is like the abbreviation. Yeah, it's funny that the first time I applied it, I didn't realize it's a serious like application, and I wrote like two sentences in the essay part, and of course I didn't hear back from anyone. But yeah, but second time I wrote like a serious essay about why I want to do research, and I got many interviews, and I joined this lab in my sophomore year, and I continued to work there until I graduated. I did a For one summer, I was working as a paid research assistant in the same lab as I was working during the semesters. And for another summer, I was working in UCSF, which is also a place for where many biology students choose to work in if you're committed enough, because you need to commute for like an hour to get there. Um, but if you really love research, I know a lot of people who actually do that at UCSF, and that's my summer internship. So sorry, I'm so it's not very logical, my answers. But in general, I don't think it's extremely difficult to find research opportunity on campus as a biology student or as an international student. Um, but I also never been to other universities, so I can't really compare how difficult it is in Berkeley compared to other schools. But
Very
yeah,
Okay, okay, that's good. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of perception. It's such a big university. It's a public university. There's
right.
perception is private is better. You are more taken care of, like you're going to be given a lot more opportunities. But, with a lot, I talk to a lot of the Cal students. I live here, and it sounds like everybody's getting good opportunities. So long as you want to get it, you're getting it. Yeah. So I'm going to give the microphone to Charles as a transfer student. Yeah. When you first come here, I mean, are you getting research experience in Cal?
Um, yeah, so this is sort of difficult for me to answer because I did my undergrad in math. And so I don't know if anyone here does math, but in math, there isn't really such a thing as undergraduate research. I mean, it does exist, but it's less, there are not just labs you can sign up for, I guess is the difference. And so uh, with that comes less of an expectation that undergrads are going to do research. So I would say it's less normal in mathematics, although it still exists and you can certainly do it. Um, I will say that I've known many other transfer students, and I've talked to many other transfer students in majors like chemistry or biology. And my impression is that none of them really had an increased difficulty in getting those research positions. Like my GBO mentors. So if you come to Berkeley, you'll be in a Golden Bear orientation group, is what they call it, which is like sort of a group to get you acclimated, give you a tour, help you meet people or whatever. And these are other undergraduates that lead these groups. So the my group was led by two chemistry transfer students who both, I believe, got research in their second semester here. So I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. Uh, Other transfers I've talked to have had similar experiences, and I think Berkeley makes it a big thing that they don't marginalize their transfers, or at least they say this. And I think in this
Mhm.
case, it's pretty true.
Right.
Professors are not really prejudiced against transfers. Um, if you're a transfer, but your grades are as good as everyone else, they're not going to hold that against you. It's very much, I think, I mean, and nothing is totally a meritocracy, but I think at Berkeley, getting these opportunities, competing with people who are admitted as freshmen, it's pretty meritocratic. And if you can demonstrate that you keep up with everyone else, you'll have access to the same opportunities, it seems to me at least.
That's great. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Charles. And Justin, for the like your MET major, did you do research or you mainly internship? Mhm.
No, I don't have very much research experience, but I have a lot of friends who did, and I think they got a lot out of it.
Okay, very good. Okay, how about club, Justin? We
Yeah. Um, I'm uh was probably a lot more involved in, I guess, clubs and organizations. Are you mostly referring to, I'm assuming, like the more like academic or professional clubs?
any clubs in Cal, anything.
Yeah, there's like a pretty wide range of like kind of student groups or organizations that you can join.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of activity-based ones, um, such like as like a ski club or like a skydiving club. There's a lot of like ethnic. I don't know the best way to describe this, but there's like a Chinese student association, a Korean American student association, a Middle Eastern like etc. There are frats and sororities in Greek life, which I was a part of and highly recommend. But I think maybe the one that people will care most about would be like these professional academic clubs.
Hmm.
A lot of them either do work for like companies, um, and they do like contracted work every semester with these companies, or I guess a lot of them work on other sorts of like internal projects. One of the clubs I was part of that I think made a pretty big impact on my undergraduate experience was called Launchpad. It's a machine learning club. And I think beyond the work I did, it was just the people that you meet in the clubs that um, are obviously like really, really strong, um, capable people. And I think those sort of communities are really like the most important thing that you take away from those clubs.
Oh, that's great. So, how hard to get into your Launchpad club as a freshman?
Um, Hard to say. I actually don't know because I haven't been involved in like the recruiting in a while, but I think that Berkeley is pretty notorious for having clubs um that have like very low acceptance rates. And it's not something that like they do on purpose. It's just there's so many undergraduate students that apply to all these clubs. Um, and like a club really like cares about like its tight knit community that everyone is friends, everyone is comfortable with each other. So a lot of times it can be like hundreds of people applying for like maybe like 5 to 10 spots. Um, and yeah, like I think some of like the most competitive clubs can probably get as low as like, I don't know, maybe like 1, 2% acceptance rate. But there are also a lot of other clubs that are probably more welcoming or like um, easier to get into, less exclusive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. But if you don't get into exclusive club, it's okay, right? It,
Yeah.
it's
Oh, absolutely.
it's not end of the world, right? Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the thing you get out of clubs, or the thing that's most valuable to get out of clubs is kind of the people you meet. And I think clubs is like one way of meeting really cool people, but there's like tons of other ways, whether it be like in your research or, in just like groups of friends that you make, people with similar interests. I think there's a lot of ways other than clubs to kind of make these cool connections.
Okay, very good. Okay. Thank you, Justin. So, Liam, I'll ask you, did you join any club first couple years?
Let me think. I joined a research, no, no, I joined a teaching club my first year. Uh, that I sort of just volunteered to teach a class. It was because I guess back then, getting teaching position is pretty hard, or at least in the CS department for the class. I was trying to teach CS 70. So a lot of people recommended joining this teaching club called CSM, Computer Science Mentors, to teach a small section, and then you put that in your application. So hopefully you can get a TA position next semester. Otherwise, I didn't ever get into any. My first year, I applied to the computer science, like all those competitive clubs. I didn't get into any of them, so I did not join.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So I just want to assure incoming students, if you don't join some competitive clubs, it's fine, right? So no impact, right, Liam, on your future endeavor, right?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Okay, that's great. Okay,
And
so
maybe I want to just like offer some perspective. Like there are a lot of clubs on campus, and not all of them are like that. There are a lot of clubs that are sort of things that people want to join so they can put them on their resume, or make money as an undergraduate. But we have at least one computer science undergraduate here in Liam who didn't do that, and he's had no problems. So it's really not something that you need to be like really concerned about. I think like most people's perspective is like it's nice if you get in, but it's not going to ruin your life. And on the flip side, like if you think about a club as just like, like a group of people with a common interest, maybe it's actually like just not always so great to have to, do like job applications to get into these clubs where everyone is just sort of there to, try to get a job or put it on their resume. In terms of clubs that are just people with a common interest, there are a lot of those that maybe aren't necessarily tied to money, that you don't have to apply to, that, can offer you a rich social experience, and, won't evaluate every aspect of your personality. Like there's like a Russian speaking students association, obviously you don't have to apply to that. There are a lot of other ethnic clubs. There are clubs, about interests that maybe aren't academic that you really don't have to apply to. So like socially, I just want to make clear that like the club landscape in Berkeley is not so cutthroat. If you just have a special interest and you want to meet other people with that interest, that won't be a problem.
okay, okay, very good. Okay, so I have one main question I forgot to ask. I will ask. It's about the class size, and then we'll have parents ask some questions, especially to Andrea and Justin. Andrea, are you pursuing PhD or graduate school down the road?
I think I would like to go to grad school down the road, but I will be working first. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's very good. Because the last 15 minutes, I would say for students who are interested in applying for PhD, because the Xingyi, the Charles, and Liam, they all successfully applied for PhD. So I think there are some parents going to ask questions. So I know Justin going to get on the road, and EECS is very hot. So first is I ask all of you, it's like the class size. Like maybe you guys give me the biggest class that you have taken here, just, and then maybe on average, most classes, what's the size? So gonna be really quick. So Liam, what's the biggest class you have taken?
I
Like
think like
student,
2,000 people.
2,000 people.
Yeah,
What's the class?
61A.
61A. Okay. What's like then on average, what class is size?
For upper division computer science, it really depends. Can be anywhere from like 200 to 500,
That's still
maybe
that big.
700. Yeah,
Okay, that's big for
maybe the
C.
specialized classes, maybe like 100.
Okay. How about math?
Math, usually 30 for the upper division classes.
Okay, that
For a lower division, probably like 500 to 700.
yeah. So across the board, the lower division definitely has more students. Okay. So that's 2,000. Okay. How about Charles?
Yeah, so I didn't take any lower division classes at Berkeley. The math classes can range quite heavily, but the way that Berkeley opts to teach upper division math classes is that instead of having one very large section, they will have six smaller sections. And they do this for every upper division class except one, which is linear algebra, upper division linear algebra. So that class had I don't know, maybe 200 people in it. Um, but every other class is usually like in practice ends up between being between like 5 and 30 people. But I also do want to emphasize that, these numbers are very large, but college students are not always so diligent about actually doing their work. And so a lot of people don't come to class. So linear algebra, for instance, was maybe more like, 80 or 90 people in the classroom when enrollment was more like 200. And, on bad days, it would be even worse. The first day, there's always going to be everyone there. But just remember a lot of classes or, every class is going to have people that don't show up. So that's a factor.
Yeah. I heard maybe, I think half is exaggerating. Maybe a quarter of the students do not attend in person. They watch a video online, right? Yeah. Okay. So, and okay, how about Xinyi for life science? What's your like maximum class size? Mhm.
I don't know if I remember it very well, but I remember by 1A, there's a lot of people, and it was more than 600 people when I took it. And for upper divisions, I think my estimates can be around 60 people. To be fair, there's a lot of people majoring in my major,
Yeah,
molecular and cell biology, which is very popular.
MCP, very popular.
Yeah, I think my graduating class was like around 500 people, if I'm correct. But yeah, something like that.
Okay. So life science a little bit better than computer science. How about EECS, Andrea?
EECS has to take a lot of the lower division courses that CS students have to take. So I also was in a really big CS 618 class. I think upwards of 1K. I didn't count a lot of students. I think upper division it shrinks a bit. I want to say around 100 students per class. And just to like clarify, it's not like one professor being swamped by like 1,000 or 2,000 students. There is like a web of TAs, and just people helping with the course. So it's not like you won't be able to talk to someone if you want to. There's always people out there to help you, and there's always like available office hours times. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. And Justin, you double major ECS, I know it's MET, ECS and Haas, something like that?
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Mhm. Okay. So your experience.
Um, yeah, I think on the eke side, very similar to the people that have spoken behind me or before me. Like really, really big lower division classes. And once you get to the upper division classes, it's maybe like at the most like a couple hundred people for some of like the really popular ones. In terms of Haas, um, each class is usually maybe like 50 to 100 people. There's just like a certain set of requirements of classes that everyone has to take. So there usually isn't like one class that receives like more students than the other. It's kind of like everyone has to take every single class at least once throughout their undergraduate experience.
Okay. So MET is very competitive to getting. It's about 1%, so less than MIT. MIT is about 3, so it's very elite. But I also heard MET because you're a double major. How many credits each semester are you taking, Justin?
I think it can really vary depending on the engineering major you have. So for those of you who aren't familiar, MET allows you to do an engineering degree and a business degree, but that engineering degree could be, for example, EECS, electrical engineering, computer science. It could be mechanical engineering. It could be bioengineering. It could be aerospace. It could be nuclear. Um, in terms of EECS, it's like pretty light. You could probably get away with taking like less than 18, maybe like 18 units a semester and graduating. But I have some friends who are doing maybe more rigorous, technically rigorous majors like mechanical engineering or bioengineering, and they consistently have to take more than like 20 units a semester to graduate on time.
That's a lot, I see. And then in between, like in the spring or sometime in the fall, you have to spend time looking for interns, right? So you're very busy, right, Justin?
Yeah, yeah, that's I think a lot of Berkeley students have that same experience of like balancing classes with uh interns or like job search as well as like other like commitments they might have.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, so do you guys maybe let's see. Do you have any question for Justin and Andrea? Because I would like them to, they're busy, so thank you for your time. But I do want to have Xinyi and Charles and Liam to talk a little about your PhD experience or application experience. Yeah. So anything math, okay. Any other question you have? Anybody you want to speak up? It's your chance to ask questions to Andrea and Justin. Otherwise, I will let them leave. Yeah. Do no
I
question at all?
asked uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
I asked a question in the chat. If
Okay, go.
Andrea could talk about the summer job, teaching job.
Yeah, sure. Um, so my first 2 years, I worked as a TA over the summer teaching the lower division computer architecture course. I think I met a lot of my friends there, so I would definitely recommend teaching if you get the opportunity to, wherever university you attend. But what summer teaching looks like is I think Berkeley is pretty unique in the sense that it gives undergrads a lot more control over the course and a lot more responsibility over teaching and the course content. So at least for the first 2 years that I taught, I think they're changing this policy now. We didn't actually have a professor on staff over the summer, so it would be a team of undergrads and a couple graduate students teaching the course over the summer. And I thought this was like really cool because you actually got the opportunity to lecture. So it's not like there's no professor. You would like communicate with the professor of your course. You would give a couple like mock lectures with the professor, and then you would get to actually administer the lecture yourself, which is pretty cool. And of course, you get to interact with a lot more students than you would normally over the summer. There's a lot more variety in the terms of what students sign up for the course over the summer. A lot of different majors from different places. Yeah. And I think teaching was really cool over the summer, and also they pay you, so extra perk.
Very good. Yeah, I think Liam taught as well. I know, Charles, you've been working at the tutoring center, right? Charles? Yeah.
That's right.
So, yeah. So I know for students either in state or out state, attending college, it is very expensive unless it's, you unless you have a really good financial aid. Public school doesn't offer a lot of the merit-based, especially for out of state. However, I think all of them have paid experience of internship or research or teaching. So there are opportunities. It may not be able to cover your full tuition, but everything helps. Okay, so that's very good. Okay, any other questions for Justin? Do you guys have a question for Justin? Justin, maybe you can share a little bit if you are comfortable. What do you plan to do after graduation?
Um, yeah, I think I'm somewhat set, but maybe still figuring it out a little bit. At least my plan right now is to go work at the company I entered at last summer, which is like a trading company in New York. It's called Five Rings. It's quite small, so I'm not sure if you've heard of it. But yeah. I'm also potentially thinking about if I would want to like come back to the Bay or maybe just stay in the Bay. But that's like a different sort of conversation. Right now, the plan is to go to New York.
Okay. Yeah, so you and Xinyi are on my email list. So maybe you can connect in New York City as well.
Mhm.
That's good. We are going to New York City. That's great. Yeah, completely different. Your parents will for sure miss you. Very good. Okay. So any other questions for Andrea and Justin before we have a quick discussion on the PhD application? Difficult to get into the engineer. Yeah, we can. Oh, about engineering clubs. Maybe Justin talked a little bit about Andrea. Did you join any engineering clubs?
I have not joined any engineering clubs. I joined like a CS one. But I have a lot of friends that joined engineering clubs. Some of the popular ones are like Formula Electric, Formula Racing. Those seem pretty fun. A really cool group of people to work with, and I would recommend joining, if that stuff interests you.
Okay, very good. Okay, I will. Oh, how do you get into MET now, Justin? They won't let you go. You're wounded.
Um, I think I think they look for uh certain attributes that um probably kind of translate to like people or attributes that would be good for like founding a company or like being a startup. I think they really look for people who are like entrepreneurial, um, have interest in like engineering, but also have like demonstrated that they've kind of taken that interest in engineering and like tried to apply it in and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the business space, but maybe like I know some people who got into the program like created like nonprofits or other sort of like really big organizations that made a lot of like big impact, and that's kind of the thing that got them in. I personally didn't do that, but I wrote a lot of my essays about having interest in engineering and wanting to apply to business. So maybe that was what got me in.
Yeah, yeah, I see. I mean, I feel like MET and Haas, those elite programs have certain type of personality, and you have a really good outgoing personality. Big smile, right? Commanding voice, Justin, right? So I'm here helping you answer. Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, so we will. I know you guys are all busy, so we'll let Andrea, you're welcome to stay because, but Justin, you're welcome to stay too. I know you are in a car, so. But we will move to and you feel free to sign off as well, and we can discuss the hot pot. I think it would be great for us to meet together and network. And you've been here 4 years now, Justin. I haven't, we met in San Diego multiple times. You came to our house, but we haven't really met here yet in Berkeley. So hopefully we'll make it together, okay, before you guys leave the campus. Andrea as well, okay? I really want to take you guys out. So anyway, so let's move. So I want to thank you, Andrea and Justin. And all of you, please thank them and also give us a good review and really appreciate it. So I want to spend a few minutes about PhD because right now it's really, really, really hot, especially for international students, right? Getting a job, H-1B visa is very challenging. So a good way of um, continue stay in the country so long as you're interested in, pursuing advanced studies. PhD is a really good approach because PhD is funded by most PhDs are funded. So let's start with Xinyi. Um, so I don't think we can finish within 5 minutes, but if you guys really need to go, let me know. I know you're in East Coast. But Xinyi, you want to talk a little bit about your experience of getting PhD, like how you prepare for PhD? Did you know the first time you coming into freshman, like you really want to do a PhD, or it's a little bit more later, like, like a change course and now you want to do PhD? And go ahead, Xinyi. You're really in a great PhD program. Mhm.
Yeah. So when I first go into college, I know research is something I might be interested in, but I'm not like I'm for sure gonna do it after I graduate and stuff. And I also recommend it for other people to try it out first before you convince yourself that you want to do this for maybe the rest of your life and stuff. Because I didn't have a great experience doing research when I was in China, even though I was like I volunteered at a lab, but that wasn't very great. But after I come here, I joined this research group when I was a sophomore, and I've been doing research since then. So yeah, it was about 4 years before I go to graduate school. Personally, I think for biology specifically, research is like the most important thing when you applying to graduate school. That's what they mostly care about. And how they know how well you do research is from like your recommendation letters that they got from your supervisors, that are your PI or principal investigator, which is the professor that you work for. Um, yeah, and also your publications and stuff. So I actually think Berkeley is a good place for that if you think you want to go to graduate school because there's a lot of research opportunities. Um, I actually have I know some people who are from more like private schools that were like research university schools, they actually always complain about that they don't have a lot of research opportunities on campus, so they need to go like all the way very far and commute a long distance to find research. So I actually think Berkeley is pretty good for that, even though the resources is a little scarce. But I think if you find a lab that's willing to support you, um, I think it's a great place to be for if you want to go graduate school.
Okay. So one question, especially in bio, I know we have two math PhD, but on the bio, I think a lot of students are interested in bio, is how about the grades? Like, do you need it? I know everybody's scared about Berkeley's grade deflation. I I- I mean, are you okay to get a few Bs? You still get into great PhD, or you must maintain all A's?
Mm, I definitely know people who doesn't have a 4.0 and still went to amazing graduate school like Harvard.
Hmm.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, I think in general, if your GPA stays above 3.7, I
Hmm.
think you're all good. I don't think they will be very picky about that. Yeah, so it's not like how many Bs you have. It's more like in general, and also whether you're taking, it's more important that you're taking classes that suit your interest or like that's you're not like avoiding difficult classes. I think they definitely care about that. If all they see on your transcript is that you're taking like very easy classes, um, and you're getting all A's, it's much less impressive than like taking hard classes and getting maybe B plus or A minus or something. Yeah.
Okay, it's in some ways similar for college, high school, right? So
Yeah.
always encourage kids to take relevant, challenging classes. Okay, very good. One more question on the bio side. Do you need to, did you publish paper as an undergraduate? Hmm.
That's a very commonly asked questions. I actually don't think that you need to have paper publications
Wow.
for applying as an undergrad to a PhD program. Because
Okay.
especially in the US, it's very common for you to go straight from undergrad to PhD. Like no master is needed, at least for biology. It's like this. And I have many friends who I wouldn't say they completely like never done any research, but they have done research for maybe many years, but they just happen to do not have a publication online or submitted. But they still got into amazing graduate schools. And I personally just only have like one publication, and that's obviously enough for me to get all these interviews as well. So yeah,
Oh, that's great. Okay, okay. So it is more about experience rather than the actual publication. That's what I tell students too. It's the experience.
yeah.
Everybody, we do have work with college professors, coach one-on-one. Everybody, okay, I want like a consequence, the results. Give me a paper, but it's not that. It's the experience that counts, right, Xinyi? Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's true. None of the professor I talked to told me that they expect undergrad to have papers.
Mm.
Yeah, I think they're actually not expecting that. And if you have that, I guess that's an amazing bonus. But if you don't have that, that's okay.
Okay, very good. Okay, will have another question coming back to you. So let me ask Charles. Charles, you're in a very unique position. So congratulations, Charles. We are all very happy for you. We celebrate like, first, but we'll celebrate again. Okay. So I heard this year Berkeley admitted like five students, right, for math. Mhm.
Yeah, so my situation is doubly complicated by the fact that I'm not actually being admitted to the Berkeley Mathematics PhD program. I'm being admitted to the Berkeley Logic PhD program, which is joint between the math and philosophy department. So the admissions is separate, although I'm going to receive an office in the math building, and I will take math classes, and I will be a teaching assistant for math classes.
Mhm.
But yes, it is true that the math program only took five people. This is for complicated logistical, administrative, like economic reasons. Um, More or less, last year the program ended up taking sort of too many people, and there's also a new union contract for the graduate students. And in combination with, just general economic stress, this means that there are less positions for more students. And so this year they had to really cut down on the number of admitted students. My understanding, though, is that they plan to get back to a more normal number. This year has been exceptional in a lot of ways. I don't think I really need to point out specifics as to why. So I wouldn't count on that staying that way.
Mm. Well, it's amazing. So how did you do it as a transfer student, right?
Yeah, so I guess there's a lot to talk about here. I guess maybe first thing I would say, just to everyone, just so that someone has told you this as you're an undergraduate, if you don't like school, you should not do a PhD. Just like I'm going to flatly state that, and I think you should really seriously consider that. Like if you don't like school, you should not do a PhD, especially in something like mathematics. Um, so don't allow, the economic situation or your parents or your relatives to push you into doing a PhD if you don't like school, because it's another 6 years of school and it only gets harder. Um, so in terms of Berkeley, as an undergraduate option for someone that wants to go to graduate school, so I got here wanting to go to graduate school. That was always my plan. So I guess maybe I'll first talk about what's good about this school for graduate school. So I guess maybe the most obvious thing is that, Berkeley as a graduate school is very strong. So if you're an undergraduate and you're proactive and you can sort of, if you get yourself into the pockets of your professors, which is not that hard, you will have access to a lot of opportunities. You can, if you really want to, you can sort of act like a graduate student in name or in everything but name. Seminars are totally open to undergraduates for the most part. Colloquium talks are, totally open to undergraduates. You can give seminar talks as an undergraduate. And, I guess the most common thing people say about a large public school like Berkeley is that, there's no one there to baby you. So you do have to be proactive. But I will say, as long as you try and you ask for things, you will get those things. I've never been turned down by a professor and asking for favors. They've all been, very happy to spend time with me. And that's how you form the relationships that you need in order to get good letters of recommendation. So I think Berkeley is really a great place to do an undergrad if you want to go to grad school, because there are so many opportunities to do research and to meet people. And everyone here is well connected. This is like an elite institution. Most departments are, top 10 in the country. And all of the professors here are extremely well connected. So if you get letters of recommendation from these people, everyone else is going to read them and they're really going to listen to those letters of recommendation because the people here are very well established. They're very respected. Most cases, they're extremely famous in their field. So the letters you get, if you do well, will be extremely good. The thing is, you won't be babied. That's sort of the trade-off. But if you do want to be somewhere where you get babied, the con to that is that your recommenders might be less well known, although you get more attention. So that's something to think about. Um, Maybe another thing I will say is that so I came in as a transfer student, and transfer students, it's natural to feel like you're sort of behind, and so I was really pushing myself to catch up to people who I thought were way ahead of me. You should be careful with that. It turns out that it's really not necessary to do that. Graduate schools don't expect you to, already be a graduate student by the time you're finishing your undergraduate. It's okay to sort of, go slowly but learn things very well rather than just trying to, like pack your application with as many virtues as possible. Because that can go sideways. You can end up with a lot of B's, a lot of bad grades, and in a bad position. But the good thing is, another thing I want to say is that if you have bad grades, some bad grades, it's not going to kill you. So I applied with, let's see, at least three B's and actually one C. My major GPA was something like 3.63. But the catch here is that all of my bad grades came in the first half of my time here. So if you do badly, but you can show improvement for, a sustained period of time, say like at least 2 or 3 semesters, that can be a reason for people to overlook shortcomings you had in your first few years. So if you really want to go to graduate school and you get a B or maybe even a C, if you can recover, you can still go to graduate school. It's not the end of the world. And I really want to emphasize that to people because more likely than not, you're going to have, a hard time. at some point in your first or second year, and you might slip up. But the point is, as long as you don't slip up repeatedly over and over again, you can still go to graduate school. Um, okay, and maybe the last thing I'll say is in terms of how to get into graduate school, this varies wildly by the department that you're in. So be wary of people that are trying to give you advice for like graduate school in general. That's very specific because graduate school in general is very general. You can't really give specific advice. It's very dependent on your department. So be wary of that. Also, I would not encourage you to listen to the advice of other undergraduates who have not applied in terms of how to get to graduate school. If you really want to know how to get in, you should talk to the professors. Most of them will tell you things. They're not really like against telling you. And so you should talk to them because they're the ones that read the applications and they're the ones that actually know how it works. So avoid getting stuck in like these speculation loops with other undergraduates about how to get into graduate school. This happens a lot in math, and a lot of the time it's just very misguided. Based on my actual experience applying, most undergraduates have a lot of misconceptions about how to get into graduate school. And so there's not really enough time for me to explain all of those misconceptions, but I would just caution you against listening too closely to other undergraduates who have not applied tell you how you need to apply in order to get in, because those people haven't gotten in. You should talk to graduate students or faculty. And again, at Berkeley, faculty are very glad to discuss those kinds of things with you. And so the admissions are a committee, is another thing. And every professor has their own way of deciding who is and who isn't good enough to be admitted. So you should talk to multiple professors also because every decision is going to be made by a composite of these people that all have very different ideas of, what is and isn't a good sign. Um, so, talk to professors because those are the people that are letting you in. But you also have to keep in mind that, not every professor is going to agree on what's important. But if a professor tells you something is important, more likely than not, it's going to be important. And you should listen to them rather than your fellow undergraduates who, are completely in the dark on the matter. But yeah, I think that's basically all I have to say.
Very good. Very inspiring, Charles. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so we'll give the microphone to Liam. Do you have anything to add? Also, you change your major, so maybe what's your experience, Liam?
Yeah, so I originally was planning to do a PhD in computer science. My first 2 years I was studying like machine learning and AI, and I would say Charles is right. Don't listen to anyone who gives you advice. Uh, Generally, um, for instance, in math, there's not as much expectation for you to be publishing any research or even doing research for that matter. A lot of students who get into PhD programs haven't even done research. For math, it's a bit different. You'll be doing something called a reading course, where you still have to interact with professors, but not necessarily doing anything novel. In computer science, I think the expectation was more that you would join a lab earlier on in your career and you would help out with certain projects. Maybe not necessarily, have anything published yet, but have done, have contributed to a lot of different projects or one project, um, with like a first authorship or like, leading a project has, was always recommended to be a good idea in computer science. I would say that it like getting to know your professors is important. I think in like large computer science labs, that's a bit harder, is because they manage a lot of students, like a lot of graduate students and a lot of undergrads. Um, but in smaller labs, um, you definitely get a lot more interaction with professors. I actually I didn't go through the whole cycle of applying to computer science PhDs, so I cannot provide too much light on how it actually goes. But I would agree with Charles that you shouldn't, listen to other undergrads on, what's important, what's not, because they don't actually know anything. Um, and but you should talk to professors and even like again, Charles was correct that professors will disagree on what's important. Some professors will say, "Oh, I don't really care too much about your grades," and other professors will say, "Grades are really important." So I think it really depends on professor to professor, school to school, whoever's on your like your reading committee. But one thing I will note is that when you get letters of recommendation, just make sure if you're applying to, a field that um, maybe doesn't have too much industry influence, or just in general that you get recommendations from actual professors and not from postdocs, graduate students, or you know, maybe people of an industry. Like if you did an internship, that probably won't be as, valid as an academic professor at a university. Um, so I think that's probably it for what I have to say.
Okay, I have one more question for three of you. Did you cold email Liam to professors? I know you got into some program, Charles got into some program, Xin is already in the PhD. So you guys are all set in terms of, PhD offer. And especially mainland Chinese students, I heard. I mean, we also help students, with counseling for graduate school as well. And some students like, hey, can you guys help like cold email for us to find out all the professors that are in the relevant field and give them like a special way of email. So I'm gonna ask each one of you, Liam, did you do cold email to the professors that for the programs that you got in?
No. I
No,
knew
no.
one of the professors for the programs I got in. For the other programs, I did not do any cold emailing.
Okay. Charles?
So I did not cold email, but cold emailing is a very delicate thing. I'm glad you brought up. So cold emailing in a lot of situations will actually hurt you. It will hurt you in situations in which your email is very obviously a template and is not specialized to the professor that you're emailing. If they can tell that you're not actually interested in what they do and that you're just trying to get an opportunity by, doing a large volume of emails, they're not going to be happy with you. There could be cases in which that's actually what ensures that you don't get accepted. What is fine, as far as I understand, is cold emailing, and writing, like a totally novel email to a specific person, who you've actually like, attempted to engage with their work. If you show legitimate interest in someone's work and it's clear that your email is not a template or AI generated or anything, I don't see a reason why that would harm you. I don't know if it's exactly encouraged in every field, but again, what you certainly should not do is mass email with a template in hopes that, that's going to do something because it's definitely not going to.
Okay, very good. Xinyi, what's your experience? You're in a different field.
Yeah, might be controversial, might not be. I think cold email completely doesn't help, especially when you're applying to graduate school in the US. Graduate school, some like in like Europe or like UK or something, are very different. That they do this thing called direct admission, where you apply to the lab directly instead of to a program. And for a potential of being in several labs, you apply to one lab. And so in that case, I think cold emails might help. But at least for all the biology PhD program that I applied to, that my friends applied to, that I know, they're all committee based, meaning they're a group of professor that's gonna read your application in a room in a meeting, and they're gonna decide. They're gonna vote for who they want to invite for interviews and who they want to admit to the program at the end. Um, and I have, and none of my friends or me have code emailed any programs to get in. And there's actually one of my friend who uh, code emailed someone and had a great conversation with them, but end up just cannot get it into the program because he didn't pass the committee evaluations. Even though he's the PI he talked to really, really liked him and is sending emails to the committees and telling them how much he likes the student and please admit him. He still didn't get admitted. So I just don't think code email helps a lot if you want to apply to a biology PhD program in the US.
Mm. Interesting. Okay, very good. So one more last question for all three of you in terms of number of schools, PhD, Xinyi, for bio, what's the good number of schools a student should apply?
I mean, I think this is very personal, but I think a good number maybe 10 or less,
Okay.
depending on how confident or how comfortable or how many schools you like. Because applying to PhD program is not like applying to undergrad, where you want to ensure that, at least from my perspective, it's like you want to ensure that if you get the offer, you actually see the potential of you going there and studying there and spend the next 5, 6 years of your life or 7 years of your life in that place. So I personally wouldn't apply to somewhere that even if I got the offer, I would feel reluctant to go. So in that sense, I think you should definitely apply to maybe less than 15 schools. I personally applied to just to 10 schools. And I think it's a pretty good number. Um, yeah, and I received interview for 9 out of 10 schools. So that was at the end, it was kind of a lot because I need to fly out and take like vacation from my work, whatever, and then do a lot of interviews. And I was like super busy. And at one point, I was even thinking about retrieving my applications could just because there's too many interviews. But yeah, in general, I think that that would be a good number.
Okay, about 10. How about Charles?
Um, yeah, so I think Shini's basically right. I don't think it's really about specific numbers. It's like it's as simple as you should apply to the places that you want to go to. Um, because these applications do cost money, and so if you apply to any place that, you really like would not go to, even if it was the only option, it's a waste of money. So you should apply to places that you would actually be interested in attending. And for some people, that's going to be, a lot of schools. For other people, that might only be like 5 schools. Or I even know someone who only applied to 1 school. Um, so, it's like financially, you just shouldn't apply to places that you wouldn't go to under any circumstances. There is this whole notion of like safety schools or whatever. And like as an undergraduate, safeties make sense because, I mean, there's not really anyone that's just going to like not go to college if they don't get into one of their top choices. Most people are going to go to college any other way. So safeties make sense. But in graduate school, there were certain schools for me which it was like, I really want to go to graduate school, but if this is my only option, I think I'd rather try to find something else to do. Thankfully, that didn't happen, but because of that difference, safety schools don't necessarily make sense unless those safeties are, things that you would actually or places you'd actually want to go. Um, yeah, and I guess the other thing is just, apply to places that have faculty that you want to work with. If there's someone you want to work with at a school which you would, possibly be happy at, then that would be a good place to apply. But if there's a school and, you like the school, but there are no faculty there doing anything you're interested in or anything you could conceivably be interested in, then you definitely shouldn't apply there. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Wow, Charles, I will call you Professor Morris. You talk so well. Okay, maybe many of you will invite you back and to give a full comprehensive analysis of PhD applications. Very good. Okay, are you still tutoring? Are you still teaching there? Like in the
Yeah, I am still in tutoring upper division, but
Okay.
this will be my last semester doing it.
Okay, so if there are students who want to get tutored and paid by free tutoring paid by UC Berkeley under future Professor Morris, and where are you tutoring, Charles?
It's the Student Learning Center, which was is contained in the building formerly known as the Cesar Chavez Student Center.
Okay.
The name was stripped like I think under a week ago, but it's the building in Lower Sproul with the low roof next to Zellerbach. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Charles. Okay, I think we're about 25 minutes over. We're going to open up for maybe 2 questions. And I will count, if you don't guys ask, we'll just let everybody go. I know it's a little bit over time, especially for our guest speakers. Any questions for all of you? From any of you? Okay. No? No questions at all? Okay. I guess we'll end. Xinyi, thank you so much. I know it's very late in New York, and I'll come to NYC. I'll take you out. Okay, you have my word, uh,
Yeah,
and
yeah, no,
yeah,
no,
that's
thanks
good.
for having me. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's a great
really, really
opportunity to
appreciate.
share my experience.
Yeah, you guys are all so busy. Thank you, Andrea. We'll meet in person. Thank you, Liam. Thank you, Charles. Okay, we'll find a time to get together. Thank you all. Okay, and if you like the event, please give us a good review. Okay, thank you, and have a great Saturday. Okay, talk to you soon. Okay, bye bye. Bye. Thank you.